Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Tub Takes. This is a VGC video podcast where we go over what's been making waves in the VGC scene. Today, I am joined by my co-host, Adi.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Tub Takes.
I definitely stumbled over my words. I'll go faster next time. And we also have, I guess I'm handing over the medal. Dude, I can grab it.
Dude, I have mine in the bathroom. I gotta grab it.
Oh, yeah. Maybe later. But here, Gavin, the medal to you, the new Portland regional champion. Happy to have you on. How you doing?
Doing good. Yeah, happy to be here. Glad. Glad to take the reins on it. Still kind of surprised by it all. What do you think?
I know, and that means that you've left the club that I think we shared, 3-time regional champions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
exactly.
And now you're in the 4. I actually could not name one person exactly that's with you, but there's probably like 3, maybe?
I think Paul Hornack, Zach Drake-Camp, and maybe Randy. I don't think Randy. I think Paul Hornack and Zach Drake-Camp.
Got you. So basically boomers, including yourself, because you're a boomer.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's unfair to new players because they haven't even had time to go to 4 regionals yet.
I say that it's always boomers who have all these regional champions like Zach and like Randy and like Wolf. But you've won your regionals like pretty recently, right? Your first was 2017.
Yeah, exactly. No, I was too busy being overrated for like the first 5 years I was playing.
I mean, I was thought Adi was gonna go in a different direction because we also do have some new blood goats like Justin Tang and Michael DeResti who already are 3 decks champions and started way after all of us. So yeah, whatever. Not that it weighs on any of us at all ever. So let's go ahead and get into it though. We will be of course talking about Portland as well as some of the other events. Have various amounts of participants that happened over the weekend. And so if you have any questions for us, for Gavin, of course, about, his run and stuff, make sure to drop them in the chat, as well as if you're here now, but you're not going to be around later, to check it out on YouTube. We will be posting this tomorrow, most likely. Audie has linked me a tweet that I'm sure I'm supposed to pull up on screen for some reason. Oh, yeah, that one. No, dude, he's not that old. He's not that old. That one was pretty good, though. Excellent tweet. Here. While Audi was busy fishing a link out. No. There we go. Which one? There we go. Alex Y. Glamora. I said questions for Gavin and maybe the rest of us. You don't need to ask me that. Let's not get. We don't need to bring me down. Anyways, I'm just kidding. We'll definitely get into it. We'll definitely talk about it. Go ahead.
Glenn was sick. It was one of my 2 losses and one of my close sets.
Yeah. Wait, being over 30 is bad? No. I think Paul Ruiz was over 30 when he won Worlds. So, I talked about this in my interview actually, when I was being interviewed on stream. But like, it's a very accessible game to all ages. So like, even though I joke about us being boomers and stuff like that, it's just all mental. And like, even if you don't have the time that a college, high school kid has to just like mash reps, like, as long as you have a good understanding of the game and like you've built that up over the years of playing, especially, I mean, like, I know that not everybody can do that if you're getting started at 30. It might seem a little more daunting, but basically it's a completely mental game. So you're not going to be that behind as long as you're able to, just study up, learn from other people. It's awesome.
I think honestly the big thing is just like being willing to take criticism of like acknowledging that when you first start off that you're gonna suck. And then like being able to like realize that and process that and iterate on that,
I think the other side of it is just realizing that you and only you are right about everything, and that's a real good like growth mindset. Yeah, that's personally how I've approached it.
I think that once you've turned 30, it's a big part of success is like acknowledging your own mortality and understanding you've only got a few precious years on this earth, and you're choosing to spending them playing competitive Pokemon.
I want to twist ESM's words again. I already did this before, but on the car ride back, he said something like he basically misspoke and said like middle-aged players like me or something like that. And I was like, damn, dude. I was like, I guess 58's a nice age to die at. Whatever. But it was killer, and I just gave him a lot of shit for it.
You should.
But okay, I think I kind of put things in a bit of a random order here. Maybe we'll talk about the topics in order of attended size, because I think that's the order I'm seeing here. And so over the weekend, we did have another. It says special championships. I put SPE in my notes, but I forget. Is this more points than that? Is this points comparable to a? Is it just a regional level of championship points, or is it more? I guess I could just probably scroll.
Regional is a special event to get the same number of points. This is a
no. Sorry, I just
level.
thought it was like a different thing. It wasn't like a national is what I'm trying to get myself. Like I'm getting myself confused. We don't have anything like that. More people probably would have gone if there was that many points actually. That said though, they got how many? It says 13 players. Is that correct? I think so. It's 13 to Masters. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chongjun was there. And just trying to get a Worlds invite. I mean, through whatever means, because I haven't seen Chongjun at any other events, so definitely not able to make it into the top 75. And so why not take a shot at getting that automatic invitation that's granted from a special event? However, Hometown defended again, won by a local player. And I think that we saw... I can't remember if Alessio was at the other one as well. I think maybe, as what I heard, they were. And then I know Patrick was, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So Alessio has gotten second place at both of these, which means that he's gotten 650 points. Which, and knowing what I know about EU, I assume that 650 points is around where the bar is going to be. They don't get a lot of championship points over there. And they got like way too many invites. So he's probably sniping one of them. With these two second place finishes.
Wait, I don't know. What's the bar for Europe? Top what?
I thought it was 125, right? Oh, is it 75 for them as well?
Somebody confirmed for me, but I thought it was also 75. Dude, how have I not encountered their
That's pretty close to ours, actually.
Oh, wait, maybe they're a username? They could be a username.
I have no idea. I am just talking shit.
No,
I don't know how many points they actually have.
No, I was just genuinely wondering, because it's topical, genuinely. Like, you know, we are coming to the end of the season. We just had our last regional here in the US, and Bologna, I mean, special event or regional, I actually don't know the answer, is this coming weekend. And I guess I'll just click over here. It'll tell me. It's a special. Okay. Is the last chance over there to earn lots of championship points. And then we just have NAIC. It's probably even more final for the Europeans this weekend, because while, you know, Portland was our last regional, NAIC is the last event within our region. Whereas, like, if you were not willing to fly across the ocean to NAIC, Bologna is going to be your last chance to earn championship points on European soil outside of, like, locals, which also, I think, end in May anyway. So they're, like, basically done in a couple of days.
I wouldn't be surprised if a few people tried to snipe an invite that by coming over to North America. But yeah, it won't be like everyone like it is for North America. They've already had their shot at international points already at this point in the season.
That's true. That's 100% true. But yeah, the teams here, I would say this is definitely not your standard Shadow Rider Pagos team. Like, I didn't look at this and think like, yeah, boring as usual. It's doing a little bit of everything. They've got the Covert Cloak, which might disrupt some of the standard counterplay. They have both Pollen Puff and Encore instead of, like, the Pollen Puff Wisp or the Encore Disable. And other than that, like, they do just have, like, a Pelipper hanging out. You know, if you Terra and get rid of the sun that way, and you're not done getting rid of the sun, you can use Pelipper as well. Just, I don't know. The team looks clunky to me, but at the very least, all 6 Pokemon are using the fake tiers, I'm now realizing. We did see Mono Physical win an event earlier this year. Now we got Mono Special. That's actually kind of beautiful.
It's like very clear. I don't know why it's very clearly to me like unoptimized, but there's nothing here, you know?
It just doesn't look like a lot of builds that we've seen in other regions for sure, and so that's probably why it feels like something's missing. But yeah, at the very least, it is just hilarious to me that you can use fake tiers and benefit any other Pokemon on your team. I think that's actually kind of sick. Like using.
I do think.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I didn't have anything else really.
Oh, go ahead.
I think the double Terra normal is interesting because like you're a Pagos team, so in theory you want to bring your Pagos to CSR matchups and Terra it into CSR pretty regularly. And that's like so it's strange that you have a double Terra normal on your other guys. But also the Terra types are fake on Pagos team. So like, do whatever you want.
Just make your opponent overthink it, basically.
Go 6 Terra normal if you really want to.
No, 6 Stellar. 6 Stellar is based. I almost ran that in the GC on a Pagos team because I was like, I'm gonna always Terra my Pagos, and my Urshifu's already Stellar. Why not make all of them Stellar? It'd be hilarious. But I didn't commit. Anyways, complete random tangent that I just was reminded, and I wanted to mention it. I don't know, either in a call or on Tub Takes, but I've never heard anybody talk about like the next format because of course Reg I is still somewhat new, and we know that this is going until Worlds. We don't literally know what the next format is going to be, except for one thing we do kind of know, unless we go back to another format. It would be Reg J, which is just so funny to say out loud. It's just like we've never made it that far in a, like, I don't know. Doesn't it just sound cursed to say Reg J? Is that not the next letter of the alphabet? H-I... Wait, no, I skipped something. I definitely skipped something, didn't I? H-I-J... No, I didn't.
No,
right.
See, I'm literally tripping myself up because it doesn't sound right.
But you also said that about Reg I.
I mean, it always sounds weird.
You think this is how babies feel?
No, Reg I
It's
is
like,
bad because
whoa,
it sucks to
there's
type,
another
dude.
one?
At least when I type Reg J, it will be very clear, like, what I'm talking about the format. When I type Reg I, it's still annoying because sometimes it'll capitalize the I, and like it's just like it's weird.
You're not talking about Regigigas?
No, I know the Reggies exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see the other teams here though. This is just kind of the standard Koala team. This is just MDB's team. And yeah, the rest of them, I mean, that's a hard trick room team. Yeah, I don't have a ton to say about this.
I will say, I did see Patrick got the round 1 bye as well, and got into top cut, and yeah, lost in the play-in for championship points, which as as an NA player, I've been keeping track of that. We almost had a Yotam on the podcast to do some simulations about what the championship point bar is going to be. We're gonna hold off on that until a week or two from now. To see, but I know Patrick is like right on the bubble for that championship, for that invite, after his first top 4 finish at the first South African special event, and so losing the win in for points is pretty brutal and keeps him, I think, just on the outside of the bubble right now.
Right. Yep. I see.
So
here.
Big deal for all the players who you've just scrolled up to who are also right on the bubble, and we'll see one fewer person overtake them.
Right. Yeah, Gavin, what were you going to be at points-wise after this? Assuming, let's say, I guess you get second and you lose your what? How much is it for finals anyways nowadays? Is it 20?
Like so
325.
It's 25?
325.
So you're playing for 25 points, right? Okay, so minus 25. Yeah, do you know how many points you're at?
Here, I was at 707 before.
1057. So let's say you did lose the finals, you would have been looking pretty good anyways. 1050. Well,
yeah,
no, not
he would have
been tied with you.
Then you would have tied with Alex.
Like, wait, exactly? That's funny. So
that would have been so cool.
Oh well. You'll have to be there 25 points above me and also a whole auto invite above me. Let's keep it moving though. Actually,
Alex, you got to get top 8 at a cup.
Top 8 at a cup? Well, I've already filled my cups, unfortunately. I can't be like all those cool people not attending locals in style. But anyways, really quick though, let's go over this one before we dive into the the meat of the discussion today, which is going to be Portland, which is the Victory Road tournament that happened over the weekend, which means that probably not a lot of the we did see an American still get top 4, but yeah, definitely expecting to see a lot more Europeans playing in this one. And yeah, it was won by Jono. What's that?
I'm going to correct you immediately. This was a Asia time zone tournament, is what I saw on Twitter. So it was like it started at like 3 a.m. for us. I don't know what time that is for Europe, but it might have been accessible for them. But I think a lot of the Asian players played in this more than anyone else.
All right, well, a lot of Europeans did well because I'm seeing the Italian flag here a lot. So at the very least, it didn't stop them. Nothing can stop them. Victory Road Tournament, I'm in. At least that's what all the Europeans are telling themselves. So, and yeah, it was won by Jono here with a pair of restricteds that I thought we were done with. I'll be completely honest. I just didn't think that people were going to go back to this one after the first tournament, and I don't know if we've seen any strong finishes from it. No, the Hoj brothers, I guess, had it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was Zam. It was Zam. I'm getting it mixed up. Yes. So no, then yeah, I just thought we were done with this one. But here it is, winning the Victory Road tournament. With Ruination Chi-Yu. I think that is a very cool tech.
Oh, that's actually brutal. Cause like there's probably a lot of Ice Riders then that like can Terra out of like being the Fire Week, but still go down to like Ruination plus the Terra Ghost Astral Barrage with Chi-Yu, I'd assume, right?
That is a lot of power backed by Beads of Ruin and Terra. So 100%. And good against Lunala. It's good if you wanted, another move on your Chi-Yu to be able to miss, because, uniquely, usually Chi-Yu only runs like 2 moves that can miss. That is the no, wait. Overheat. That's 3 actually still. We don't have overheat. But yeah, it is just even more moves that can miss. So how fun.
Yeah. I think that I was talking to Navjeet, who ran Ruination on his Chen Pao at the tournament, and I see that Diego also used the same CSR Zama team with Ruination Chen Pao at Portland Regional. So that's like apparently it's becoming a thing. I think he said it's because breaking through screens is so much easier when my guy isn't going to actually do a lot of damage through screens, but if I put everything at 50, then my restricted can sweep. And it doesn't matter that you've set both your screens up. Everything's at half health anyways.
It's also uniquely nice for Calyrex Shadow Rider because one of the big problems with the Ruination or in the past Nature's Madness, right, is that you struggle to actually pick up the KO, but that turns into an advantage when you're able to snowball that into Grimne. Like, I think that a lot of the times when you're using Calyrex, it's like, no, why did this kill? No, I wanted it to pick it up so I could, like, snowball a bit. So it's like, it's snowball nubbing, which is pretty cool.
I want to go on a brief tangent because I saw Jonzu in the chat here. There was a imposter at the tournament this weekend, I swear. It was kind of so amusing to me. But John got 12th here, but there was also another John Zuniga in the tournament, and I was notably, like, for this tournament, I was working with Chemo here and Benji. And so round 6, Chemo plays against John Zuniga. And I was like, oh, dang, Chemo beat John Zuniga that round. Nice, okay. And I was just like, that's Jonzu, right? And then I go and see, like, okay, who did Benji play this round in round 6? Wait, Benji also played against Jonathan Zuniga. So I was like, there is a glitch in the Matrix here. How did they both play the same person in the same round? Like, I know that we had the Daniel Reyes situation like a year ago or something. And that was even funnier because it was exactly matching names. But yeah, this one was still tripping me up. It's not an exact match because yes, one of them is John. And so that was still hilarious to me, especially because my two friends had played the two of them in the same round, so I was just really mixed up. That part was so funny. Okay, back to we also see Instant Chi-Yu. Instant Chi-Yu has been doing well together in this format, more well than I originally anticipated at the very least. Like, it always looks so icky to me in the team builder. That's the simple way to put it. It's just like, why do I want 2 fire dark types on the same team? But we saw that it won Australia, it won this event, so I guess it's just much more viable, especially when Fire Dark is a very coveted typing in the format. There's a lot of ghosts to hit. There's a lot of steels and grasses. I don't know. The obviously the typing is just very, very strong. It resists the horses. So but yeah, let's keep moving on here. I saw this was Crystal, and so I was like, ooh, what's Crystal running? Oh, it's just MDB team. Not that interesting. And yeah, we got the Alcremie here. Alcremie though. Otherwise, funnily enough, just kind of like par for the course, hard trick room. But double decorate, hilarious. And yeah, if you don't have Tapu Fini to stop those Amoonguses from sleeping you, why not use Sweet Veil Alcremie? So that's pretty cool.
It's kind of funny that like a safety goggles Pelipper like actually like 6-0s this game.
Safety goggles Pelipper.
Right? Look at that. Like,
it would just get outdone by Wicked Blow.
It wouldn't because it's cool like that.
Okay. Yeah. I was so sad
because like decorate and then Moongeist Beam into it.
The thing is, like, I want to believe in Pelipper a bit more, and like we saw, it did win over in Africa, but I was like, okay, I might look into running not Sash Pelipper on this team I'm looking at. Let me run like full Fizz Def so I can survive Facade from Ursaluna. And then it just like only has like a 25% chance to live with max HP, max defense. I thought this guy was tanky physically at the very least. That's a big bill.
But here's the thing. You're going to New Orleans, so you do need a Pelipper.
Yeah, that's not a Pelipper. That's not a Pelipper.
This is from, I don't know if you can see it, New Orleans World's Fair. They had this as their mascot, which is just like wearing that thing Pelipper. So I don't know, something to consider.
Is this the? Are we getting Wolf's Ensign at NAIC? Is that
We are.
Yeah. Okay. How funny. But you probably couldn't use it in the tournament, right? Unless like they're giving it out on Thursday, check-in day, maybe.
No, I think they're giving it out on. I don't think they're giving it out in time for Team Lock.
Right, that makes sense. You just got me thinking about because Gavin didn't.
I say that we don't have Team Lock anymore. You could just sub it in for the actual one if you have the same stats on it, right?
No, you're right. That's true. But yeah. I was trying to think of what mon they gave away for you, Gavin, but I can't remember. Was it Pally or?
It was Palafin.
It was Palafin, of course. That makes more sense. Because then PatCon, did they do a Pelipper for him?
They did, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. He got to use Patrick's Pelipper on stream at San Juan.
I was so sad when I saw that because I don't think the Palafin shows Gavin's Palafin.
Oh, like because it's a newer feature.
I don't think so. Maybe it does. I just like never saw it, but
it has to have the partner ribbon for it to do that, and it might have a different ribbon.
Gotcha.
Sad.
Yeah. Also, would it be? Wait, did they put your in-game name or did they put your just like name?
It's just Gavin.
Right. No, I got you. Okay.
Like,
hey, let's get back to talking about these teams so that we can get past them because they're all European.
Yeah.
So we see top four here. This team, I think Zine ended up using this in Australia. So it's just kind of like Joe's team, but instead of using a Ditto, it's got the Sash Chenpao. So I think that one's kind of cool. Otherwise, Volk on. I guess it's not the Tang team, but it's like similar vibes. Same vibes. And then we get to the Shadow Rider block where there's just like a bunch of similar looking guys. Oh man. No, I don't even want to click on any of these. I know this is Grass Horse. I already knew it was Grass Horse because that's actually Tabu, who got I think second in one of the earlier VR challenges, was using the Grass Horse, and we'll actually see some more Grass Horse in Portland, so we can talk about it a bit more later. But I actually ended up playing against one, and damn, is it annoying! It can be a really strong guy if you pair it with some good Pokemon. So
wait, I played one too. Yeah. So to circle back, Gavin, your Palafin got the battle champion ribbon, so it sends out and it says Palafin the battle champion and not Gavin's Palafin.
Tough.
Which sucks, right?
I mean,
It is
it's definitely
less
not
cool.
as cool. Definitely not as cool.
They did not start doing the partner ribbon until the DLC came out. Was yours? Yeah, because yours was pre DLC, right?
Well, there might be a way to get the partner ribbon on it, but I shan't say.
No, because it also actually I wonder, I don't know how the partner ribbon works. Because you can get it for a bunch of in-game trainers. Like I've used Geetha's Glamora at a tournament before. Alex, I hope you were using Geetha's Glamora. If you weren't, that's why you didn't make day 2.
Right.
But yeah. So I think it might just take the original trainer's name, but I'm not sure.
I was actually asking about like what cool marks Glamora could get, and somebody was like, "You could use the Gita's one," and I was like, "Okay, well, mine's Glamora the Sleepy, and maybe that's why I didn't make day 2 is because it was sleeping on the job."
Profound
I think
anti-Desi bias.
I brought it to one game, the first game of the tournament, and I lost. So I was like, "All right, Glim, benching you." Anyways, yeah, other teams from here that are notable. I would say that I think the last 2 I want to highlight before we move on. Although there are some Groudons sprouting out the bottom here, that's pretty fun. Are the teams from Shohei, which I grabbed here, just because these are teams that I expect to maybe catch on a bit, just because they're from notable builders, so like ones to keep an eye on. But yeah, Zine used Shadow Rider, Koraidon, like balance, like just fire. I want to say fire, water, grass, but of course there's a lack of water because we are a sun team. But yeah, and also still sticking with that focus energy, Hearthflame. You know, been running that on Arubega, so I guess just kind of attached to it in the matchups that it helps out in. So, but yeah, other than that, I don't really have a ton to say about this one except that it's a team that you might see people start looking into.
Yeah.
Do you also have Arubega's team pulled up, or?
Oh, is Arubega in the tournament? I
Hiroto Hayasaki is Arubega, and he was also on a version that looked very similar to that.
Okay, yeah, so it looks like they... Oh, wait, no. They're different enough.
They got some different mons, but... Oh, that's actually very different. I just looked at the 6 Pokemon.
Yeah. Maybe this is just people showing that, like, hey, if Shadow Rider Koraidon worked on Weezing Dozo, what if it just works without Weezing Dozo? And Weezing Dozo's actually kind of bad.
Well, are you saying Weezing and or Dozo? Because obviously in the finals you played against it without the fish, at the very least.
I just played Weezing, but it's still, you know, it's like you don't need the Weezing.
I think you do. I think that that's the most potent version of it, at least in my opinion. Otherwise, I think that there are some other ways to get around, like Trick Room just kind of rolling you, but that is always the biggest, like, first obstacle is, like, you are running a 130 speed and 150 speed restricted without like insane bulk, you know. How do you get around them just trick rooming and killing you, you know?
Yeah, I mean that's like fair for sure. But even then, like, yeah, or we can go over more later. But
right. Well, I mean, yeah, we'll definitely come back to talking about that archetype because, of course, it got to finals. The last one I wanted to mention was World's runner-up. Wait, no, where I thought wait, is Takiyanagi? That's not Beach Trick Room, is it? No, where's Beach Trick Room?
No, it's...
I thought he also used that team. Maybe he just didn't make day 2 or something. Oh well, that was the team I wanted to talk about. But I thought Beach Trick Room used it. Anyways, yeah, this one, it's kind of funny to me because I've always felt this way about well, first off, that's Helping Hand Ice Rider. But I've always felt this way about Torkoal paired with Ice Rider, is that they just like don't do as many favors for each other as you would like. Like Torkoal doesn't like dragons, and so Ice Rider does hit the dragons. But after that, it just annoys me because it's like, all right, let me switch in my water type that walls both of you. Let me switch in my fire type that walls both of you. Like, I don't know, that fire and ice are not as good of a pairing, despite them being like a very fun pairing in like literature.
I'm not saying that Kyogre eats this team for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but at least for 2 out of 3 meals, you know? Like,
that's rich coming from you.
Because I'm not.
What do you know about Kyogre? You don't know anything.
That's true. Fake Kyogre fan.
But depending on the game state, also gets walled by Wide Guard. Yeah, I mean, it also doesn't help that this Cali Ice has Helping Hand, so it can't even high horsepower the Wide Guard user. I know that like Leech Seed has been the talk of the town lately. And at least you can click Leech Seed into a wide guard user. Clicking Helping Hand into a wide guard user is definitely a little sus.
You know what? I'll say this. When really good players use something weird and they don't win with it, I immediately ignore it.
It's
Because I'm
not a
like,
bad metric.
if you were really cooking with this, you would have won, you know? Yeah,
No, I get it. Or at least gone a little deeper, but I don't know. It's still something funny for sure. And yeah, I'll be honest, I'm kind of bored of the rest of these teams. So I included it on the topic docs. I just wanted to mention like what ended up like winning and some of the higher placing teams. But I don't know. Adi, is there anything you want to touch on this one before we move on?
I think the Couching Fire team is really cool. I was very excited to see that team.
I didn't click it. Let me go. We got DD, yo. All right. With Clam. Banded. Okay, hold on. And then just like screens. Sure. Specs. Yeah. Okay. Nah, some of the stuff is pretty fun. Terra Water, Groudon. Sure. Why not? Still resist Glacial Lance. You're not trying to click Fire Punch. You're just gonna be clicking Precipice Blades, or High Horsepower. So
no Heat Crash is kind of crazy there.
No, I agree. I feel like that's probably better. I feel like I'm clicking High Horsepower before Fire Punch into most things.
The Thunder Punch is optimistic. We'll just leave it there.
Yeah. It means the Pelipper counter because you gotta be.
It's
the
Pelipper counter.
You gotta be one step ahead of Pelipper.
You're right.
All right,
fake fan.
Let's get into the fun stuff. So, starting from the top, of course. Man, these numbers look so low because, of course, we played one less round of day 2 Swiss. So I'm just like 8-2 is the final record. Of course, you won quite a few more games than 8. But Gavin, this team, it doesn't look very normal. Not only are you using a restricted pairing that wasn't seen a lot of use, in best of 3 meta. It was seeing a lot of use in Japan. But you've also got some weird guys. You've got like the Fish and like Flutter on a Rain team. Why don't you break it down for us?
Like dance?
Yes, and then talk about the team while you're doing it.
Okay, so my main thought was Kyogre, let's do it. I actually said to Audie during Atlanta, before Reg I, Audie asked me, what are your thoughts on the meta? And I said, I think people will go into it just realizing, wow, Shadow Rider, Zamazenta is kind of insane. And then there will also obviously be some Miraidon there. That in turn will lead to Sun picking up in usage. And that in turn will lead to the final meta development of Kyogre like being good with Rain. And then from there, everything else will level out and like it'll just be relative usage things. But it's a matter of figuring out what the restricted partner with Kyogre was because I knew it wasn't Zacian. Adi can confirm I did actually say this like way beforehand.
You did say, I don't know about all that about the whole meta cycle, but you did say that Zacian Kyogre was not it ahead of the metagame.
Yeah. So what I was looking for was for the Kyogre partner was something that was able to be brought 100% of the time, basically. And when you look at Kyogre, the two big problems that it runs into are Zamazenta, because the wide guard gets really annoying, and also Miraidon. Ice Rider was really nice for being one of the most stable restricteds into Miraidon, but it struggled when up against Zamazenta, which is where the Leech Seed comes into play, because Leech Seed allows for Calyrex to flip the Zamazenta matchup, essentially, and make it so that now that that's actually beating Zamazenta, have a restricted pair that's at least comfortable versus everything. So I had 100% bring rates for both of my restricteds. I never considered not bringing them, and I think like that just gives you an edge over time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why you're starting to see like Ice Rider become like the partner with Kyogre. I think there's maybe a couple of other things that can do that, but Ice Rider is at least like the most accessible of them.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to focus on making it an Amoonguss build because although I think like there is like something you said about like the Torn Rain builds or whatever, I'm just like whatever. If there's like a range room build, I kind of am like, well, let's see if we do it. Especially with Calyrex being the restricted. Like Among Us, I think just has sort of like naturally like good synergy with both of them, which made it sort of an obvious 3. From there, Mons were really just like kind of taken on and taken off like a little bit until we were just like cycling until figuring out like, okay, what actually looks good. The Sash Flutter Mane is something I'll stand by of I think it's one of the best Pokemon in the format right now. Just because like even if you're not on a Sun team, it's one of the best counters to Sun, and it's able to consistently get value for you. I think that like having a Sash Pokemon in a format where everything just does so much damage is just value. Like they need to double target to get rid of it. You're constantly able to like do at least something, right? And what was nice with this was that with Icy and Fluttermane, with all of the Miraidons and Koraidons running a little bit of bulk, not being max speed necessarily, you're able to basically Icy Wind Spout and just like 1-2 like combo everything, which was really, really nice pressure. The Grimmsnarl was sort of there as a remnant from earlier builds of the team where I was just like super stally with Leech Seed. And to be honest with you, I don't really like it that much. The reason it's Terra Steel is because I ran out of Terra Shards on the flight over. It was
That's
supposed to
pretty
be Terra Goat. And I was like, well, what else can work? And I'm like, okay, Terra. Who Terra's their Grimmsnarl? I don't even know what he looks
Nobody.
like with a hat on. Yeah, exactly.
Well, you certainly don't Terra Steel it, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, exactly. No, I want to strike fear in the hearts of my opponents. Feeling, what is that? The Sucker Punch was just there to help a little bit more into the Koraidon CSR matchup, which ended up like being a little clutch, honestly. But yeah, I actually never clicked Sucker Punch the entire tournament. But I never hit it successfully the entire tournament. I think I whiffed it once.
Right.
The Basque is
pressure.
the interesting. Yeah. The Basque is interesting, and this is the one I want to go over because I think Basque is sick. So obviously, like in order to justify like using Kyogre, you need another water type that's like taking advantage of rain, right? Otherwise, it's like, well, why are you using Kyogre instead of something else, right?
Sure.
And Urshifu is the obvious guy for that. But what I consistently ran into with Urshifu was you're either too slow to really be putting on pressure, like against like fast stuff like Calyrex, or if you are, then you wind up needing to run Terra Ghost in order to actually get kills, right? Because like there's always like consistent fake out pressure in back, and you're not able to actually get the clean sweeps that you want. And so can't preserve Terra. The other thing was that it felt really unbringable into Miraidon because it just looks at you funny. You're dead. You get your Surging Strikes off on it. You do half. You cry a little bit, right? So that's where Basque comes into play, specifically this Life Orb set. I know in the GCs, the Power Herb Basque Legion was getting a lot of attention. But
we don't even know if Power Herb Basque Legion was used in the GC. We were speculating about it on Tub Takes, and it showed up at the regional.
Yeah, but what Life Orb does is it means that it turns Basque Legion into just a stupid late game sweeper, which is what you want that role to be doing anyways, right? Because you end up with two friends dead. I believe Last Respects does 90% to Miraidon, and if you have Terra, you can just like cleanly one hit KO every single Pokemon basically. Like nothing lives, two friends dead, Terra Last Respects, and it's like when you have it so that your Rain Abuser is actually bringable into everything, it just opens up your options way more. So I was like playing into that, and I think I succeeded because I was able to play team preview mind games really well. I was, especially in day 2, trying to hard call leads and then play normalish from there, but like being very aggressive in the lead stage of the game. And I was able to like get a lot of value out of that because I had a lot more prep into my opponents than they had into me. I don't think this team is particularly good or polished, but I think it like really works as like a good like first effort into like, hey, Ogre can actually be pretty sick.
So first off, if you have any questions for Gavin, now's a good time to fire them off. We will make sure we get to them. Gavin, I have 2 questions for you. The first is so having seen the earlier iterations of the team that I know Nails was your Nails brought to Milwaukee, and I almost switched over to it last minute for Milwaukee. Amoongus seems really difficult, and I've watched your replays, your old replays of you playing against Amoongus, but you want to tell everyone how you play against it.
This is gonna sound so cocky, but like I've played Amoongus versus Amoongus too many times in my life that I feel so comfortable with it. I'm like, yep, I'll eat a sleep here. I'll wait to wake up. I'll have my own Amoongus. So their Amoongus is just sitting there doing nothing after it gets the spore off. I'll keep my partner alive. Oh, they Terra grass. Great. Like you're saying, okay, you Terra grassed and you have 2 grass Pokemon up against an Ice Rider. And it's like, yeah, you can just bank on it not waking up, but eventually it will, and I can just pollen puff it forever. So despite Amoongus seeming like it would be a big deal, you kind of just ignore it, honestly. Like, there's something to be said about like not wanting to Trick Room into it, but you're not rushing for a Trick Room too often in a lot of matchups, unless it's like the Brute Bonnet or whatever. And the Brute Bonnet, you have the advantage of like, well, it's faster than it. I don't know. So you really neutralize Amoongus by having your own Amoongus, is the long and short of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what they can do to you, you will just kind of do back to them, basically, is what you're trying to say. But maybe better.
What'd you say, Alex?
I was saying that, like, whatever you're trying to do, whatever they're going to do to you with Amoongus, you're going to do back to them, but maybe better.
Yeah, I'm going to do it back to them, and I have an Ice Rider at the end of the day. I have the restricted that's threatening the KO on your guys, so it's like, we can do the Sleep Turn War. It's favored for me. Why would I care?
So, Adi, what was your other question?
Yeah. So, say I want to use this team at NAIC. Can you give me a step-by-step guide on how to obtain a Basculegion? Because I'm not sure how to.
This is really funny because I rely on Zach Draycamp for a lot of my Pokemon because he plays Pokemon Go, and that's so broken for getting legitimate Pokemon, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he traded me initially a female Basculegion, and I had to tell him, Zach, there's multiple forms. There's a female and a male one, which he did not know. So he went ahead and bred one, right? Of getting like a baby boy, a beautiful baby boy. So then when you have the beautiful baby boy, you need to do 294 HP of recoil without fainting, like in a single life, and then level it up, and then it evolves. And you're like, okay, awesome. Wait, how does this learn last respects? The answer is, oh god, you need to have a picnic with a graveyard or like the hound, the evolution, I forget its name, with it holding the mirror herb, and then it just like learns last respects. And I'm like, okay, cool. It was such a pain. Yeah, no.
It is
But
kind of relevant to that, but we have a couple of questions in the chat here. Both of these ones are kind of the same, but is there a team report coming, or are you going to share those EVs? Those two kind of questions kind of are the same.
yeah, probably.
Got you.
Team report? Question mark?
Question mark? I don't know anybody that does team reports here though. So if we find anybody that you want to do a team report with, we'll forward you to them.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Somebody said, "Are you ever not clicking Trick Room?"
Yeah, most games.
I feel like it might. I know that Cali Ice teams might look like Trick Room teams, but it's more of like kind of an option. Like basically, if your opponent is trying to get too fast, like we talked about, like Shadow Rider Koraidon, like if they have 2 restricteds that really would hate to see a Trick Room go up here, you might see a Trick Room go up. But their team definitely can take hits too, so it's fine, right?
Yeah, exactly. One nice thing is with Rain, Basculegion is like the fastest thing on the field until Rain runs out, then it's the slowest thing on the field. So you're actually able to time Trick Room around that pretty nicely to make it just like they're constantly under like last respects pressure.
Somebody said, why no Ice Beam over Hydro Pump?
Because have you seen Zamazenta? That thing clicks Wide Guard. And
right.
You can click Hydro Pump and just do a million to it and force a Terra.
There are also situations.
What?
There are situations as well where, honestly, I think Hydro Pump probably does comparable damage. I think Hydro Pump is like a little bit less base power than Water Spout for a single target.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just very slightly weaker into grass types. So it's like you're really
Yep. Go ahead.
So you're giving up so little in order to just like have a big gun. Like I think versus Chemo, I remember I was only able to win the game because was able to hydro pump his Iron Hands and do like 80 to it. It was some ridiculous amount of damage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just checked, and Hydro Pump is 110, and Water Spout is 112, effectively, into a single target. So it's just kind of like having a Water Spout accessible at all times if you really need it. And it gets around wide guard, and yeah, like things like an Amoonguss, like you ice beam them for what 60-ish or something like that. Hydro Pump's
Versus
probably doing about that.
Most of the time you want to click like your spread move anyways to hit the partner.
Yes.
Right. It's like there's so few situations that it's actually worth just doing that little bit of damage.
Yeah.
Like extra.
Yeah. Let's see. Somebody asked, "Are you doing an AIC?"
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, of course, we're all players that play for, like getting a Worlds invite is a cool reason to play, but trust me, there's a lot of other reasons to play Pokemon, and that isn't even just like the prize money. Like just playing for the love of the game is like one of the biggest. So,
and also, frankly, the win.
Yeah.
Like, I do not know anyone who keeps track of the amount of times they have qualified for Worlds if it's more than 3.
Mm-hmm.
I know, and I think that like if you ask someone how many regionals they've won, they can tell you immediately.
Well, usually it's a pretty small number as well. That's all. They're both very small numbers, Gavin. I think most people can do the math there.
So also notably, most people can in fact count the number of Worlds qualifications they have on one hand. I don't think it's normal that you have 12 Worlds qualifications.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's my frame of reference, so therefore it's normal.
Somebody said, where is it? Oh yeah, what was your thoughts what was going through your head during your match against Justin on stream? I'm guessing this is Justin Juan, right? Yes, the Dozo match.
This is gonna sound brutal. I was bored.
Mm-hmm. It's Dozo. It's the least thrilling archetype in the world. You either have a plan or you don't.
Like I figured out I had won from like turn 1 both games, and it was like he was taking the max time to like think of a game plan, and I was just sitting there. I think I was just bored. I was like, I had a bad habit this regional of like humming to myself "Sexy Back" by Justin Timberlake, and just thinking I'm bringing sexy back, because once you think of it once, you can never stop thinking about that. So I just like got through most of the song during them.
I do think it's just so amusing that Ice Rider is now the like Dozo counter, when before it had such a miserable time against it when it's running the clear amulet set. But now they get just trapped in this like you can Terra Grass to dodge the Leech Seed and you get Glacial. And if you don't Terra and you get Leech Seeded, like it's already game over.
Yeah, exactly. Like I do think that people are gonna adjust teams to like body this. Like I think like if you try to bring this comp into NAIC, you're gonna get rolled. Frankly, it's not doing enough immediately strong stuff to not just get counter teamed and owned. But like I think similar ideas could do very well.
How's the matchup into opposing waters?
Oh, the Kyogre mirror really comes down to whichever Kyogre is faster. Like it's such a big edge to be able to get the water spout off and do like the damage, because it's like it racks up for the damage trade over time, and like literally just that like just swings everything. Like if you make them, even if you force them to click Origin Pulse, like that is an advantage that like you get over time, because then your water spout's doing more damage to their Amoonguss and everything like that. So yeah, everything slowed down, so my Kyogre, which was 137 speed, was just consistently faster than all of them, which made it like pretty me favored. But yeah, that's what
doesn't that literally speed time maxed Modest Golden Go? Are you stupid? Did you not even consider this?
I'm gonna be so real. I really didn't, dude. If I lost to a
Dang.
Golden Girl, then like I should, right? That's so
On the speed tie
based,
too. On the speed tie.
right? Like that's a winner's mentality right there.
What if they had Thunder, dude? We ran Thunder back in the day. 2023 Thunder
there were
Golden.
like 3 Thunder Kyogres in Top Cut. Like it was actually quite common.
No, I said Thunder Golden Go.
Oh,
Keep
okay.
up, buddy. Come on.
Come on, Audie. Keep up, yeah.
But no, I was like you were saying like, oh, whoever's Kyogre is faster, but like if they're slower and they have Thunder, are you still okay?
Yeah, because if you, in the Kyogre, you Terra Grass a lot anyways. Because Kyogre Amoonguss is such a hard lead to break that like thing of like, well, if we're Terra Grassing anyways, then who cares if you have Thunder or if you have Ice
Okay.
Beam? Like Ice Beam is still worse for you to click than like the Spread Water move anyways.
A couple more questions from the chat here. Somebody said, was Terra Fairy for something specific or just kind of generic damage? Sorry, on the Flutter.
Oh, yeah. Terra Fairy Moonblast would let you pop Miraidon. Like, if they weren't too bulky, which was a decent amount of them. It actually won me my top 32 set just on the spot. Because, like, if you're able to threaten the Terra Fairy Moonblast if they don't Terra, and the Icy Wind Water Spout if they do Terra, you put them in just an absolutely miserable experience. And it's like, I felt like that was something that where it's like I would actually want to click Terra on Flutter Main for, as opposed to Terra Normal, which like I think is a little troll because it was good for Wolf's team, but I think then all Focus / Flutter Mains just copied it without really critically thinking about it.
So then somebody mentions here, and we might as well jump to talking about Carrie's team here because 2 water. Sorry. Well, okay. First off, we used this archetype back in 2022. Like we, as in like it was common enough. Did we have a name back then? Does it have a name now? What did we talk, Gavin? What is it? What is this? Ice fishing? I think I remember, or something like that.
I've heard ice fishing.
It's
or
like
ice fish.
Yeah. I don't know. Chat, if you guys have any better ones, we'd love to hear them because we were talking about this the other day. I think White Whale was a suggestion, which is cool. Somebody was coming at it like, oh, that can be Kyurem White. And I'm like, shut up. Nobody's using Kyurem White.
No, I'm with ice fishing over ice water. I see ice water in chat. I've heard of that. I don't get that. That's not nearly as interesting as ice fish.
Yeah, because ice fishing is a real thing. You cut a hole in it, you stick in your rod, and then Bascule Legion comes out and hits you with Last Respects. Dude, imagine if you were fishing, and then like for each fish you got, the fish just like hit you harder. That'd be messed up.
Seahorse is pretty funny. I like that one, but the problem is if you ever just say horse, it's not specific enough. I literally played against Seahorse at the tournament, and it was Shadow Rider. So, yeah. Okay, so bringing it back to the topic, though, the question, somebody said, I'll basically rephrase it in a different way, but did your team ever have pieces that ended up looking like this? Did you ever, kind of like have a similar-ish build to what Carrie was doing, or did you not really try a lot of these Pokemon?
I tried a decent amount of them. I actually really like the Iron Jugulus approach. The main thing for me was I stayed away from Rillaboom just because, like, I know Rillaboom's a good Pokemon. It just feels so bad whenever I use it. Is like the honest truth of it. Of like Rillaboom should solve so much, but it feels like it never does it quite right in a way that I can never really articulate. So I'm just like, bad vibes, and then stay away from it. But I think that like I absolutely tried the Urshifu. I really like the Iron Jugulus. I think that Carrie's team is very good. I didn't have Seed Bomb though. Never tried that. That is kind of based.
No, that's super funny. I mean, it's basically like both of these restricteds are, somebody asked in chat earlier, like, what's the way to deal with the bulky waters, the water types? And this team just has like so many ways. Not only is there a whole Rillaboom, but you got Thunder on the Kyogre and Seed Bomb on the Ice Rider. Like, it will get by. It will make it happen. If you want to Terra Water to resist Glacial Lance or Water Spout, boy, do you have it coming for you. I don't know. That's really funny. So, but yeah, this team is really cool, and it is just kind of fun to see 2 different approaches to the same archetype pop up at the same tournament. I mean, it was nowhere before outside of Japan. Again, it was being used in Japan with or without Power Herb. I can't say for certain. Adi and I were only guessing. But yeah, the it just kind of just cropped up, and now it's really, I don't know, showing a decent amount of stability. I guess, like, Gavin, you mentioned a little bit about, like, the strength of your team going forward, specifically your team, but how about just the pairing? Do you think the pairing has, like, long-term viability?
Yeah, the pairing absolutely has long-term viability. We'll see what percentage it ends up stabilizing at. It's never going to be the most used restricted duo, but like I think that it's going to consistently be at least 5 to 10% going forward. It just does
So,
too
like,
much.
top 10, definitely in the top 10, and probably on the edge of, like, top
Yeah,
5 or something.
absolutely. I think if I had to guess, I'd guess it's probably the fifth best restricted duo. Yeah.
Right.
Um.
Well,
Also,
go
can
ahead.
I transition to something funny?
Yes.
If you look at Jay's team,
Yeah.
it's like a fucked up and twisted version of mine. The different
What are the
weather setter, the
parallels?
different horse, the different Amoongus.
The different horse, different Amoongus, different rain or weather setter, different weather abuser. What else do we got? We have the different taunter. You want to go there? Sure.
Yeah.
And then what do I have? Chi versus.
Did I forget my own team?
Yeah.
A different fish. It's a fish.
Grim. Oh, different dark type.
Oh no, yeah, no. You have to do the fish comparison, right? Like you have the one fish for fish.
Like, I guess redfish, bluefish.
Right.
But like one fish, two fish, because they got one fish, you got two fish. They got the redfish, you got the bluefish.
Okay. Yeah. So outfished.
But yeah, this team, it's very inspired by what got first at Australia, of course. And I think I can't remember exactly what the player who won Australia, Masayoshi, said that they was their original inspiration. It might have started from James Evans or maybe a different source. Regardless, Weezing, Koraidon, Shadow Rider, with specifically Assault Vest, Walking Wake, Aquajet. Pretty funny that tech. Honestly, it continues to impress. I think Jet also had a game where Aquajet like locked up a position against a Chen Pao, and so it's just like it's just, I don't know. It's a really cool thing to see. Kind of like how we're just talking about like Focus Sash being good in a metagame, where everything's doing a billion damage. Having any way to consistently do that 1 HP damage to get rid of a Focus Sash Pokemon is going to find value. Even Aquajet on a special attacker in the sun is going to still be worth running.
Yeah. I played Ja in the last round of day one, and the Aquajet on Walking Wake was annoying. It like legitimately meant that he had a way to chip my CSR as long as it was on the field. I had to get rid of it because otherwise he broke my sash, and the sash on CSR is so important again in the mirror, right? So that was actually like very meaningful.
So cool. And yeah, other than that, like this is continuing to prove to be like one of the strongest like Shadow Rider Koraidon builds, in my opinion, the Weezing ones. I think that they just pair so well with each other. I think that I wouldn't be surprised to see people kind of reel it back in and go back to Sash, like what we saw in the finals of Melbourne, right? Yeah, Sash. I personally didn't like the Insinchi combo in the original one, and I feel like Brute Bonnet does add an extra layer of annoying to this team. Like, you're already dealing with having no abilities, their restricteds being faster than everything you can probably do. And yeah, just having to deal with spore pressure on top of that, it definitely is a really well-rounded team that it doesn't seem like it could withstand. I don't know. It just seems like it's frail, but not at the same time. It's a crazy combination of Pokemon here, basically. I was not intentionally making a reel it in joke. I'll be honest. For like fishing pun, sure. Jet into Shadow Shield is a funny implication, though. You could probably just like Snarl or Hydro Steam if you're not in Trick Room. But yeah, the we've seen this team before, so probably not a ton of new stuff to say about it, except that I always think flamethrower is cope. Run over here, come on. Okay. Aaron and yeah, honestly, Aaron and Mont, we can kind of talk about their teams at the same time. Mont ended up going with the Rillaboom version of this team, whereas Aaron ended up sticking with the Ting Lu. I think the Ting Lu was on one of the original versions. It was built by a Japanese player who played a lot of Showdown, I believe. I think their username was like Tex, and they had like a bunch of accounts in the top ladder of Showdown Best of One, and it was there was some changes. Like I think this one actually it was normal on the original, and that's what Aaron has here. I think Ma ended up changing to Ghost. A lot of my experience knowing this team is through Mont, of course, from talking with him, and so like yeah. Anyways, I'm looking at Aaron's version here, and yeah, it's a cool Pokemon, but it's a cool team. Ting Lu is a funny Pokemon that like it feels like it's a bit better into a metagame that we're currently leaving. It really preys on Lunala and Miraidon, and I don't think that they're gonna go anywhere. Shadow Rider too, but yeah, like Ruination again, just so good into these teams that are trying to outbulk you with screens and stuff like that, where you know, oh, nothing can actually do 50%, but Ruination suddenly becomes the strongest attacking move because it does a consistent 50% no matter what you want to switch in. I think that that part is really cool.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ani.
I saw the Tinglu version a lot on ladder, like you said. I saw a lot of players testing it. I think we saw it in the Victory Road Tour pop up. So this is just definitely turning into like one of the standard variants of CSR Zama that sort of has been slowly reinventing itself over the course of the format. And yeah, especially since I think the team has Miraidon issues as currently constructed. That's all has to deal with it. And Tinglu or Rillaboom both are sort of different solutions to the same problem.
Yeah, I think like it's interesting to look at the differences between this and like the sort of fire pawn versions of Zom CSR that we saw more in the Victory Road Tour. I think it's just like people just trying to come up with different solutions to like similar problems. And it's like I think like CSR Zombazenta is a really interesting building playing ground right now because it's clearly a strong duo. There's a lot you can do in the other four slots, but it's a thing of like all of them sort of have the job to like carry in different matchups. But so nothing is like being brought like 100% of the time. So it's interesting to see like what can you do with that.
Mhm. And especially since it does the thing that you said for about your team, which is that you get to bring both restricteds all the time. There's never a matchup where you don't bring CSR and Zamazenta pretty much. I have struggled to think of one, which is really cool because you get to maximize your power level. And then you do have, yeah, 4 slots where you only have to bring 2 of them. You can really tech them out for specific matchups, which I think is more what the Tinglu does. I think Montana's team is more like generally good Pokemon that give him some flexibility to actually like play no matter what he sees. But yeah, I definitely think the Tinglu version is a little more optimized for specific teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. I would just say I agree 100% that there's just a couple of different ways to build Shadow Rider. And honestly, besides Gavin and Carrie here, like it was like a Shadow Rider tournament. Like, you know, it's taking 5 of the top 8 team spots, and they were on 3 different archetypes, whether it was Karadon, Zam, or even Pagos. Um, it was sad to see Len go from using, you know, like T-Tar cool stuff at every tournament to just using the simplest. I don't know. If I continue to speak, I will get canceled because I just have bad things to say about Pagos. This team is so boring, man.
No, what do you mean? They're gonna fake out Calm Mind, protect, U-turn slash parting shot, then fake out and Calm Mind, and then they're gonna protect slash U-turn slash parting shot, and then they're going to okay.
No, see, Gavin, what you fail to see is that the good players, half the time, they'll just go for another Calm Mind instead of protecting, and then you lose because you doubled the switch in and they got off another Calm Mind.
You're right. You're right. I'm so stupid.
Sometimes they call mine on U-turn on turn 1. You're right. Sometimes they call your double protect and they call mine and switch to their other fake out, dude. Like I just Wow. Crazy. Gameplay.
But the team does consistently overperform. Like it really does keep doing well. It was I'm trying to find the tweet. I think North tweeted this out, but I can't find their Twitter because they're on private. With like conversion rates for each restricted. And CSR Pagos once again had one of the highest conversion rates into day two. Not a lot of people brought it, and it did really well. It was on the graphic for top 4 in usage among restricted duos in day two. And like yeah, like I just think like it does feel like a low ceiling team. Like I've been calling it a high floor, low ceiling team, but there is consistently one in top 8. Every single tournament it feels like there's one in top 8. So it's really hard to go wrong with that team, especially when there's so little team building to be done. It feels like it's a very solved team. And so you really just get to pick it up, play very like a straightforward style of Pokemon. You play the same type of game every single time, and you execute your game plan. And if you're good at executing your game plan, you will probably win a lot of games.
Anyways, Jonathan Schemberker and Jiangxi's team, they're kind of based. We should talk about them.
Yeah, so Jonathan is a former student of mine, and yeah, he's been working a lot with Bezod now, which is cool to see because I think Bezod is like a very underrated is probably not the right word, but he's like an up and coming team builder. Like he puts together some really cool stuff. I think Bezod put up a really cool team for Milwaukee, if I remember correctly. And unfortunately, Bezod ended up missing day 2 here in Portland. But this is the team that they ended up putting together. Groudon, Miraidon with Inzunvolk. I don't know. There's just like enough things here that are different than the other teams that we've been seeing. And I mean, this is John's first top cut, I believe. And so it's really cool to see him do it with a really like different team. This is cool.
Well, honestly, I think if anything, you've got to compare it to like I feel like with a Groudon sort of plays a similar role to Ice Rider does on a lot of teams. Is that crazy to say?
I mean, because they both have clear amulet and stuff.
I think it's just like the bulky-ish spread damage partnered with the Grimmsnarl, and then sort of using that as a launching off point for other things. So either for a Trick Room or in this case, like enabling like the Proto. I don't know. I don't think I'm explaining it well, but it's like it feels very similar to like AV Miraidon Ice Rider teams, like playing against it.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean that's accurate, I would say, and it's just kind of like a different flavor of damage. Instead of it being ice, it's ground, and so that will pair better and worse into certain things. Like if you're I don't know. It's not really like the Groudon's heyday where like we have a bunch of flying types so that we can switch in on Precipice Blades. But if they are switching in like a flying type to deal with Precipice Blades, at the very least you can Electro Drift or Volt Switch off of said flying type. And then those Rillabooms and stuff, you've got Heat Crash, Fiery Dance, Flare Blitz. A lot of ways to make them regret switching in on your Miraidon's Volt Switch or something.
Mm-hmm. To me, this looks like a Groudon team that they were trying to figure out how to build bulk up Groudon, and and Miraidon was the second restricted that made the most sense to cover for Kyogre, which can be very difficult for the team, and for to like you said, forcing Rillaboom out into this team is great. You want them to bring Rillaboom. They wouldn't bring Rillaboom if they had a different restricted on the team. Yeah, I think
wanted
this
me to
seems
pull
cool.
up the
And
most unreadable data. I forgot.
I'm sorry. I mentioned it. I mentioned it when I was talking earlier about conversion rate to day 2. It's not the prettiest format, but it was really interesting with CSR Pagos.
Ice Rider. 37.5% conversion rate with over 3% usage day 1. Okay, we take that.
Mm-hmm. And then CSR Zamazenta was the other one that just had a crazy conversion rate. 30% when it was the second most used restricted duo in the field is like pretty absurd.
That's nuts, yeah. I think that part of it too is like there's a bias of like CSR Zamazenta is definitely like a good player, like archetype. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it's so easy to say, okay, I can make a flavor of CSR Zamazenta that does this different thing and is bringing something new to the table and is good, and I can outplay my opponents. And it's like, yeah, obviously, like, you're gonna lean towards that. Like, the thing with Sun is, like, it doesn't matter how good Sun is. Like, bad players will still bring Sun, or it's like even newer, or you can just say newer players because like it's fun, you know. Like
Yeah.
Sun is really fun. So like if you're not like a top player, like bring Sun so you can have a good time, you know? Like that's gonna hurt his stats.
Was there another Basket Legion? There was.
Yeah, it's
so messed up.
Power.
Oh, it was the Power Herb one. Yes! Power Herb Phantom Force is so based, dude. And they have double choiced guys that would otherwise get like so owned if their like spread move was blocked, and it's like, nah, you can't do anything. Power Herb Phantom Force, go!
This team's so cool besides the AV and Sun.
I played against Emmanuel at Vancouver. It was like a hard trick room mirror, and it was scary as heck. But this is a really cool team. This is so funny. Sad that it couldn't do better. But yeah, briefly mentioning, because I forgot that we skipped by some of the other top 8 teams. Justin Juan, I would love to talk less about your team. You used Dozo with these cringe guys, and we've kind of seen teams like this. This is probably the most common like mold for Dozo teams at this point, and I thought we were past it. I thought we were done using Don Dozo. I thought people realized that it's just not good enough into most things. But yeah, I mean, a top 8 is not a bad performance by any means. So I guess make sure you still have a good Dozo matchup. I'll never forget about it. So, and then also Geo's team here, because this is Polar Bear, right? No, yeah. I know the team's not insane. The one thing that I want to say is insane about it is that, like, I thought we were done running Meteor Beam on Lunala. I thought we moved past that as well, because I just hate it. It feels so bad to click. Not because you're going to miss, but because you just, like, get walled by, I don't know, like, let me name off, like, 8 Pokemon that can wall out mono ghost coverage. But, yeah.
What you don't understand, you just click Meteor Beam again.
I guess you're right. We need a second Power Herb from Basket Legion. We'll steal it from it. But yeah. Anyways, we mentioned Junshi's team, because Junshi ended up getting top 16 with Groudon Ice Rider. Again, I feel like it's a name, or it's a duo that we should have a name from back in the day. Audie, we literally brought it to Worlds, but I don't actually know if we had a good name for it.
We called it Sunrider. Which we can't do anymore.
No, that's also not specific enough. Because you could just run.
No, just say Calydon, and then everyone will know.
Wait,
what I mean.
Sunrider is also bad because like Jazz team is also Sunrider. Oh no. Okay. Okay. I was talking about this with ESM on the way home. I don't think Groudon teams really need a name, because I don't think Groudon's going to be that big of a meta presence in the... But 2 top 16s is pretty good. So what we did is we ended up, turning Koraidon... Like, Ice Age was a cool name. And that was using Koraidon instead for, like, the sun part of its name, for, like, the whole, like, from the past part of its name. Or from its lore, is what I mean. And so I think for Groudon, it has to be, like, about land, or, like, the continents and stuff like that. What's up?
Can we do Ruby?
No, Ruby? Ruby could work too. That's actually not a bad shout. But I don't know what you would do with it. Iceland? Iceland is pretty funny. It's just like Iceland, but Iceland.
Oh, I like Iceland, dude. That's good.
Glacial Lance. That one does not roll off the tongue, Eric. Also, I'm sorry. Ruby Rider? No, again, okay, still, we can't do Rider. We can't just do Rider, unfortunately.
I mean, we can call it like, we can start calling these restricteds after their signature moves instead of their actual names. So we call it Glacial Blades.
Glacial Blades, it's funny. Thank God, we got the warning, dude. No. Okay. Okay. So what was I was gonna say, that was funny when Adi, we used Palkia Ice Rider all through 2022, and I don't know how we never realized like Spatial Lance was like a funny one to use to refer to it. Spatial Run Glacial Lance. That's kind of fun.
Because the funny name was Dick Rider the entire time, right? Like you got that. We had a funny name.
Yeah, Dick Rider was good. I thought we had the better one, Chili Willy. Chili Willy was good.
Chili Willy, yeah.
Okay.
So going back to Jinchi, I did run into Jinchi outside the regional as I was leaving, and he said that he lost in top cut because he like missed Sleep Powder and Precipice Blades, which, you know, when you're running this team, yeah, that's gonna happen. I'm glad that it only happened to him in top cut and not before that. But that is like the one big concern about a team like this, right? Is that like every single Pokemon has a move that can miss, and I mean every single Pokemon has a move that can miss, which is pretty insane.
Adi, you don't understand. I went into the casino, I pulled the slot machine bar, and eventually it took my money. I don't get it. What happened? Explain it. What happened?
Okay, you say that, but I won a regional clicking Origin Pulse.
Yeah, but you also had Hydro Pump.
Pulse was good for me.
But you also had Hydro Pump, so that if you knew Origin Pulse was going to miss, you could click Hydro Pump instead.
That's true. That's what they don't tell you about.
Mm-hmm. When you look into the code.
You can actually tell which slot Kyogre's going to hit by the glint in its eyes. You just have to pay attention during the animation when it just like shows all the Pokemon.
Emilio had a pretty funny run at the tournament because he was doing fine if he wasn't playing on stream. I don't know what happened. I genuinely don't know if it was like stream pressure. I'm sorry to say, but Emilio lost to me on stream. Didn't lose again in day one. Just went 7-1. And then plays Mont in stream and loses there. And it was just a rough run. But honestly, not too much to say about the team because it's relatively boring outside of the Brick Break on Shen Pao, which I just don't think is actually that good into screens. It just sucks to click the move.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so, yeah, other teams in the top 16. Oh, yeah, Ryan's team gets a quick shout because it is like one of the first like successful incidences we've seen of Amoonguss with Miraidon, which I know, like, it's just funny because, like, you know, we did this back in the day, right, Gavin? We used Amoonguss on Feeny teams, on Coco teams. Like, it was just, like, you know, a good enough Pokemon no matter what. But we don't see it as often now.
Yeah, I think the main thing for it was because back in the day there was more flyers, so you could like spore the flyers, and like just that alone was enough to justify it. But now I'm not necessarily sure if that's the case. I think that what Amoonguss more so does for Miraidon is say like, okay, Rillaboom is your counter. Okay, you just unlocked me to be able to spore your guys. Right. So it's a thing of like, are you bringing Rillaboom into Amoonguss, especially Sludge Bomb Amoonguss? You know, so it's able to like really like punish them for their hubris there.
Right.
Oh, that tracks.
It also is one of the very few like good berry resists in the format. And on a team that doesn't have the traditional team has Urshifu in that slot, which is another fairy weak, right? And so I think that's another part of the defensive backbone the team doesn't otherwise have. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, also notable about this team, it's the only Miraidon Lunala in day 2. It's the only one.
Yes. That is probably even more noteworthy.
The problem with Mirai Lunala really is just that there's only so many ways to build it. Or at least it feels that way.
But one of those ways is Komodo, and one of those ways is Pelipper, and one of those ways is Entei, right?
You know what? So I'm gonna shut the fuck up, actually.
I do want to say, like, it is still kind of like something that's bothered me, even though it ended up winning Milwaukee, is that like both your restricteds get shut down by the move light screen, the item assault vest. Like, it's just like that does genuinely get a little bit annoying. The move snarl as well. And obviously the Ursaluna accounts for that. It's your secondary restricted.
Right. That's your other restricted. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. But I don't know. Ursaluna also didn't have the craziest showing, right? I think that was that also the case?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a lot of
It did not have the best day.
Ursa. Wait, only 10 earned points? Dang.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at that, and it's like, well, part of it is that first off, it is tough that 5 in day 2 and 3 of them went 6-4. That's brutal. Two of the 3 people who went 6-4 and missed out on top 64 points had Ursaluna on their team. There's only 3 of them total.
Yep.
Yeah, but I think that if you look at the teams that Ursaluna was brought on, I think that it was used on Koraidon Lunala, which has kind of fallen off. It did get top 8 with Geo. Used on Lunala Miraidon, again, kind of fallen off, did not have a good showing. Also the one top cut that it showed up with. And then it's used on Ho-Oh, which also, by the way, not a single Ho-Oh got points. Zero Ho-Ohs got points.
This is me just spamming
No
H on my
ho.
computer and nothing's
No
happening.
ho.
No Pokemon that starts with H is getting points.
Yeah. Which, I mean, part of it is like, did anyone really good bring that archetype? And the answer, I did look through the list, kind of not really, right? Like, no one especially notable brought it, which is very different than when like me and Pokey bring it to a tournament, or like when like Aurelian brings it to a tournament, and you can kind of expect at least a top cut or something close to a top cut with it. But yeah, it really just did not show up. And so Ursaluna has a few restricted or pairings that it really likes to be partnered with, and it was just not around. Those guys were not around.
You clicked on the Thunderous and then you clicked off of it.
I did click on the Thunderous because I was like, wait, a Thunderous made top 16? I lost myself.
Then it looks like you got bored of Thunderous.
No, well, the rest of the team is so boring. Like, it's just another Shadow Rider team, but they do just have a Thunderous hanging out here, running Eerie Impulse. Like, that move went nuts in the Dynamax era in Double Restricted. Now we just don't really see it.
Yeah, I think that when you're running CSR Zama, like, the number one question you got to ask yourself is how you beat Sun. That's just been the boogeyman for this team. I think that's part of why it was such a good call for this tournament. Is Sun kind of fell off, it kind of fell off, right? It did actually do quite well.
I think, like,
but
in this tournament, what I'd argue is like the Sun really rose to the top. Like, the Sun that was brought did really good because it beat the CSR Zama. And then that's why like Ice Rider Ogre did well, right? Because like you're beating the Rain and the Sun, and it's like a relative fall off of Mirai. Or at least like the Mirai has like so much other things that it needs to worry about, you know?
Wait, where is Splatty's team?
But kind of looping back to what Thunderous is good is, well, you do want Prankster Rain Dance on your team to help beat that. And but Tornadus is very weak to Miraidon, whereas Thunderous actually has Eerie Impulse for Miraidon. And so it does have that very cool way of being some roll compression that you don't otherwise have on CSR Zama teams.
Just another move for Dark Shadow Rider to be immune to, so oh well. So I played against Lorenzo. One of the
I played against Joseph.
Okay. So you know also how this team plays at least a little bit. And yeah, I'll be honest, I had a miserable time. I lied, actually. I said I only brought Glim to one game. I forgot I brought it to game 1 against this one. And I just kind of like spaced out and forgot, like, oh yeah, I can't Mortal Spin into Covert Cloak. Like, I am just going to lose to this stupid Shadow Horse. And yeah, the whole team looked like Glim food until it was like, actually, I'm just going to set up Nasty Plot turn 1 and you just lose. So that was a very annoying one to play against, and I thought a lot of the tools supporting it were really cool. Definitely reminiscent of the team the Tangs used at NAIC last year when they had Grimmsnarl, Wochian, Incin, and AB Kyogre. However, this time backing it up with a second restricted, this being a Shadow Horse with the Grass Terra Giga Drain one. It's a deadly combo because kind of similar to, you know, what we were talking about with Kyogre earlier, it doesn't love to see opposing Water Terras, and I know it has Thunder itself, but weirdly enough, like, Giga Drain is the other way to cover for the Water Terras, and I was, you know, Water Terra on my Ice Rider, and it was just a very strong pin to have, so.
Yeah, the Grass Shadow Rider is just like, it's an interesting dimension to it because, like, Dark is obviously super useful, but if enough people are running Dark that people don't want to run the moves that Dark counters, then it's like Grass is just sitting right there, you know?
And
it's like, I don't know. Like, one of the cooler things that you can do with it. Like, obviously there's just Ghost and, like, getting extra damage. But it's like, Calyrex is brutal just because it has so many viable Terras.
Yeah.
And it's like, if all the Calyrex players could get together and just decide on one, I would really appreciate it.
Thank you. Agreed. So yeah, that team was cool. Oh yeah, and then of course
I will say Wochen in general. Yeah, Wochen had a good showing. I've been talking up. I've been saying this is Wochen's format. It's so good. Finally, we got to see it ball out. We saw Ethan bring it as well. And this team is so cool. This team is. I also think that I mean, so he's running the parabolic charge Miraidon, right, and not running the same team that Dawei is using by any means, but I thought that Dawei using it to a lot of success, and then I forget who, but someone at Utrecht used a variant of it to a lot of success. Like I think this Covert Cloak Combine Miraidon set might just be legit. Like this is the third tournament where it's done really well, and there are not a lot of people exploring it. It's clearly got like a lot of different ways you can build it out and try to figure out exactly how to make it work. And it is just very powerful. It has some really strong interactions into a lot of the field, and it was cool to see Ethan do really well with it. I think he got a little unlucky to lose that top cut set as well, where he got his Incineroar crit through screens. Obviously, you're running this team, you're gonna get crit, and you're probably gonna lose when you get crit. But yeah, I think this team is super cool. And I think that this Miraidon set and both the Miraidon set and Wochen both need to be explored more.
Yeah, Dawei was telling me that the majority of their losses with like this Combine Miraidon were from crits. So it's like, I don't know, if someone has a day where they just like run good, it could really just shock everyone with how good it does.
Or Lucky Chant, if it was still in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think they took it out.
Yeah, they needed to buffer Shifu.
All right, Alex. We've been talking about all these different cool Caloric Shadows Amazenta variants. I've got one more we got to talk about.
Yeah, we got to do yours, right?
Yeah. I've been waiting. Gavin's been going like, yeah, CSR Zama. I mean, there's so many different ways you could solve problems with it, and I've just been like, oh, is it my time? Is it my time? I guess not.
There it is.
Pull up. So I ran this team. I've tweeted about it. You should pull up the schedule as well if you have a chance. But yeah, I ran Rhydon on the team, which is cool. Because it turns out that Rhydon is a one-mon Miraidon answer. And I used it. I took some inspiration from ESM, who top cut Milwaukee with it. We had built a Miraidon. No, sorry, we had built a Rhydon Lunala Zamazenta team, or rather, he had built it, and I was testing it, and there were some flaws, and so we both kind of dropped it. But I was pretty inspired, and like I mentioned earlier, CSR Zama one, you get to bring both restricted, so you only have 2 slots to work with a lot of the time when you're using these guys. And so you really need those guys to be very good in specific matchups. And the second thing is that I had a theory going to the tournament that I wanted CSR to be my support Pokemon. I think it's best as a support Pokemon, which meant that Zamazenta has to be my sweeper on the team, which meant I was running Iron Defense on it as the mon that gets the boosts. I decided that actually I don't really need Wide Guard. What am I using Wide Guard for? It is useful into opposing CSR in theory, but I think that the mirror when I was testing it never really came down to having Wide Guard, and none of the mirrors that I played would have been improved by having Wide Guard. It does come up against Dazzling Gleam, Miraidon, and it does especially come against Kyogre. So I don't know if this is feasible anymore because Kyogre was a pain to face with this team, and now it's common again. I did kind of write that off in testing.
As far as I heard, Adi, the Mirror Breaker, if you want to run Adi's team, you just need to run a faster Shadow Rider.
Yeah. So I'll get to my run in a second, but man, so the Zamazenta was cool. The Rhydon was there because if you want to run win the mirror consistently, like legitimately, you need speed control. A lot of these teams are dropping speed control. So if your CSR just goes first, you will win more often than not. And also you have a Scarf Urshifu, which lets you hit the CSR and do a lot of damage, and sometimes knock it out, which again, you get to move first, which is just a big part of it. And so you have ways to chip the CSR before it can move. And then, if both players play well, it will probably come down to a speed tie. But you can't really run Torrent Ursh in this format because Miraidon's in the format. And so you got to have some options into the Miraidon teams. And so into Miraidon, I have Rhydon and Amoonguss, which are both really good into basically every Miraidon team. Historically, this team is really weak to Ho-Oh Miraidon. And of course, that wasn't anywhere. But Rhydon does kind of solo that comp. It's very good into the Bolt Beam Speed Sandwich. It's less good into the Lunala Miraidon, but I did manage to beat the 2 that I played anyways, kind of off of matchup experience. And I had a heck of a time with the Miraidon Groudon team. And if you're thinking, Adi, that sounds like you played a lot of Miraidon. I did. I played 6 of them in day 1, and I beat all 6 of them in day 1, which means every single time I brought Rhydon.
How'd you do against Shadow Rider day 1?
Good question. I played 3 Calyrex Shadow Rider over the course of the tournament. I played Joe Quan, like I mentioned earlier, and I lost to him. I think I should have won that matchup. It did game 3. I lost the speed tie, but also I still had a chance to win if I knew my calcs and committed my Terra on CSR, and I didn't know that +1 Terra goes CSR would KO Clefairy, which you think is a calc I would know, so I didn't go for it. And then in the last round of Swiss, I played Zhe, and once again, the matchup came down to a CSR speed tie at the very end of the game, in game 3, and I lost that speed tie. And then, yeah, I beat the Kyogre team, the one non-Miraidon, non-CSR team I played in round 9. And then round 10, I played Jansu, who again is using CSR. And game 3 once again comes down to a speed tie, and he wins a speed tie, and he makes top cut. And so that was my run. Very little Pokemon being played. I queued into a bunch of Miraidon with my Rhydon, and I beat them all. And I queued into a bunch of CSR with my CSR, and I lost all the speed tests. And that was my run.
I can never take this archetype seriously because of that reason. I know that it's obviously very good, and I'm going to always make sure to beat it, or like have a matchup into it. I never want to run it again. I tried it in the VR tournament, and it felt like you could take the speed tie turn 1, or you could play 8 games of position jockey for speed tie on the last turn anyways. And I was just like, this is just not serious. Like, come on. It just pisses me off.
Yeah.
I don't see enough friends say the same as well. That in their experience, just testing it, like in the past couple of days, they were like, "Oh, I was trying out this Shadow Rider team from Portland," and yeah, it just feels like we dance around the speed tie for 8 turns, and then that's all it is. So silly.
Mm-hmm.
But if you run Terra normal, then you can also still just play around the speed tie.
Yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
That's
sort of, right? Like, I do think that you can still, like, I don't know, you can still psychic them at that point.
No, some of the best speed ties over the weekend was Montana versus Emilio, and like they were going for like encore speed ties into each other to like lock them into the not astral or the astral while wide guarding. Like, it's just
that's
nonsense.
what I'm saying. Terra normal doesn't even get around it. It just makes you get to it in a different, more roundabout way.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Yep. And again, I said that about wide guard too. Is like when I was testing, I just realized that all my games came down to speed ties, regardless of whether I had wide guard or not. It doesn't actually help the matchup very much.
That is too funny. All right, well, since we're, talking about our runs here, we might as well talk about one of the worst teams from the weekend. Glamora here. We did have quite a few people earn points. Dang, we actually didn't even do better than this person who wasn't running our team. That's awesome. More things to add on to it.
It was one of my 2 losses.
Yes. I actually forgot to pull that up earlier. But yeah, you lost to Benji.
It was actually my only 2-0. Two. So it's like Ben beat me in 2 games, and that was like more than most of the field.
Hell yeah. So, I mean, maybe we just needed to get, like 8 rounds of Gavin. Apparently, not actually 8 rounds of Gavin, because Gavin ended up beating it in the next round against Chemo. The back-to-back. And I also think that they didn't communicate about it. They didn't even communicate about it, so they didn't even know that. Yeah, anyways. But, yeah. There was, like... Man, I've been retweeting a lot of stuff. Old gold. Anyways. Yeah, I ended up using it on stream, and I won't, like, downplay it terribly. I beat Emilio pretty handily. Like, it was a 2-0, and it looked pretty good, and I was feeling pretty good. And then I lost 3 of the next 4 games. Tough. And I was, like, feeling pretty bad. I was like, yeah, I queued into Swordfish, and we learned pretty late that our Swordfish matchup was close to unplayable. But we were like, all right, nobody's running Swordfish. We'll be okay. And I got 2 Swordfish. And then I was like, all right, like the schedule was not there for me. I also didn't play the best. Like, that's annoying. That's on me. And then, I was running this with 3 friends, and I was building it with William Brown. He's also a friend, of course, but like I had 3 people that Billy didn't know, And Billy had 3 of his friends that I didn't really know that also wanted to run the team, and we were both just like, all right, we're giving this to our boys. We're both gonna run it. We're all gonna run it. And there was like 8 people running the team, and nobody made day 2. So I was like, okay, I'm not even gonna totally blame myself for this one. I think we just made some poor choices. I think we got screwed a little bit over by the meta shift that we were just like a little bit behind. Like I was looking at bringing a build close to this or like close to Michael's team the weekend of Utrecht, going into Portland, and then Michael wins and puts a huge spotlight on it, and I just kind of said like it's fine that like that's a good like confidence boost for the team. We're not going to be like a step behind, and then Portland rolls up and it feels like we're a step behind. Like that's basically the reality of it. Was we were just I got a little bit screwed over by the meta. I don't want to make like excuses because of that. You should be adapting to it, but I just didn't pivot in time. That was the reality. Yeah,
the meta is so fast nowadays. Like
it
used to be that it would take several months for adjustments to happen, and now it's a week. I think
Yeah.
like that's the big difference between now and like playing in ye olden times.
I know. You could get away with a lot of stuff back then, but open team sheet, it's just all so accelerated. Cringe. Anyways,
And that's why you should put a team report out with your team and then start building brand new and stress yourself the fuck out the week before the tournament.
well, Adi, I don't think anybody wants to see a team report on this one, if I'm being completely honest. So, you know, how to
I was talking about your Milwaukee team.
Dude, I wish I brought that. I wish I brought that to Portland, man. Like, that would have been better.
Yeah, hey, Water Pond would have been. I was talking to someone, I forget who, after while we were watching you on stream, and said they had brought Kyogre, and they were like, "Oh, thank God that Alex has dropped the Water Pond from this team. That matchup was so rough when they had a Water Ogre Pond, and now it's like fine."
And now it's coming back. We're here to slay the Kyogres again with our Water Pond.
Yeah, no, Water Pond was actually brutal for mono water Kyogre, if you can believe that.
It was Jody. It was Jody. There he is.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, no flame body.
But I will say, Maridon Ice Rider was 19% of the field. It was nearly 1 in 5 players used Maridon Ice Rider in day 1. And it had a similar rate in day 2, right? So it had a very average conversion rate to day 2. But yeah, when you have that high usage, when you do 20% usage and everyone kind of expects it to be close to 20% usage going into the tournament, you're going to have a target on your back, and it's going to be a little bit of an uphill battle.
Yep. Well, to be fair, that was kind of like what Glamora's thing was. Like, I wanted to play the mirror. I didn't get to play the mirror, but I was ready for the mirror. Anyways. Yeah, nothing much else to say about the rest of the team, because honestly, the choices are relatively boring. These are just like Specs Maridon, the Leech Seed guy, Standard Hands, and Grim. But yeah, bro, it's that meme. I hope people knew what the original meme was. It's that like somebody rolled the worst blunt ever, asked to leave the club or something like that. So yeah, I was like, dude, this was just the worst team of all time. When I was talking to Burns about it, I think he said it was like Milwaukee 22, Adi, I think is what he said. Did we all miss day 2 at that tournament? I think our group.
Yep. I wasn't there, but yeah.
Oh,
that
you
was
were
the Bright
there.
Powder
Shit.
Amogus team.
Dude, honestly, it was not because of Bright Powder. Bright Powder was gas. Okay, so yeah, are there any other teams here that we needed to talk about from Portland? I can't remember if there's any other cool ones in day 2. Anything that like we talked about Power Herb, so I was curious if there's anything like really goofy that snuck into day 2 that didn't end up actually performing hot or whatever. I'm not really seeing anything at a glance.
I thought the Lunadon team was pretty cool. It was cool to see that combo back. Lunala Groudon specifically. We've had other versions of Lunadon, but yeah, Andrew Brasino. I got a quick interview with him that I'm gonna hopefully get to post on YouTube at some point. But yeah, it's cool to see Lunadon coming back, and especially like the leftovers Lunala set when it doesn't have like Calm Mind or it doesn't have a Rillaboom. It's just an offensive team, but it's just the best set for it, which is cool.
I think Mezzy's low sweep Toxic Spike Sneasler is so funny.
I thought about talking about it as well. It beats Shadow Rider with the pin. Like, You Terra Dark and you get owned, and you know.
I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying it's really funny.
No, it's definitely something. Also, we ended up hanging out with, like, on Saturday night, super randomly, Alexander Zhang, which is just very amusing to me because it is both me and ESM combined, and I didn't realize that until much later in the evening. Looks like they didn't have the hottest day 2, but they did make it through. And a lot of walking wakes, kind of generally, just kind of popping up here and there. It's kind of like one of the stronger tech mons in this format right now, it seems. So, not like tech mons, but just like it's really good on some teams. Like, and it definitely adds some things. It's got more potency this meta than in the previous one. So yeah, with that, then I think we'll go ahead and move on to some of our last couple of topics here. This weekend we've got Bologna. There might also be, I got to check the calendar, but there might also be a Master Ball League tournament in over in the Asia side of things. But yeah, this one is going to be large because it is a special event, which means free entry, and also they usually expect these to be big, I think, so they book like good convention centers for them, I guess. And so I think it's like, I don't know, I thought it was close to 1,000. Maybe I'm misremembering though. That would be big. It would be big. If anybody knows the numbers for this one, do let me know. But yeah, this one, does it have a official cast? It doesn't seem to mention anything about it yet, but I would assume it does. I would assume all the Europeans.
It should be streamed. I guess it just hasn't been announced yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is, for some reason, this is always the last event of the year, or it has been. It was last year as well. This was the year that that CSR was just everywhere in Regulation G in this tournament, because it's the Italians, and Italians love it. There were 900 players last year at Bologna. I would expect a similar number this time around as well. So definitely going to be a lot of data, and the last real chance we get to see how the meta develops before the North American Championships. And then also the last chance for a lot of European players to get their to secure their Worlds invite, which we mentioned at the very beginning of the stream. But yeah, this is the last chance for to see how top 75 shakes out for Europe, except for the couple dozen players who are going to be coming to NAIC.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, they should make it so that Bologna is also the first event of the year, so the entire season is just a Bologna sandwich.
God damn it.
Thank you.
Anyways, I mean, you could consider, like, if it's no, never mind. Anyways, yeah.
I think we need the first event in Switzerland, so it's a Swiss and Bologna sandwich.
Yes. Somebody did say that it was 1070 registered, so it is going to be quite the large tournament. I mean, it says that because it's free, that technically will probably have a higher no-show rate than other tournaments. But regardless, going to be a pretty big one. So definitely some fun to see what happens at that one this weekend. And then what was the last thing? Oh, yeah.
There is a...
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say there is a Master Ball League as well this weekend, if we wanted to do that as well.
Okay, let me see if I can just. Oh wait, no, event calendar should take me. What's the one?
It's Hong Kong.
Hong Kong.
You've already passed it. Oh, you have.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you have.
Because I think it was in the. It's in the national section. Yep, sure enough. Okay.
But wait, before we move on here, I know I was the one who transitioned us, but who's your smart money for Bologna?
For Bologna? It's so tough. Like, I don't know. The reason we don't do the smart money for the other regions, Audi, is because I don't know who is and isn't going. Like, you'll be like, oh, I'll pick Pokey Alex, and it's like, oh yeah, this is the one he's not going to. So
pick your favorite Italian, man. All the Italians are going.
Yeah.
You have a favorite Italian?
I will pick.
I've got a favorite Italian.
Everyone has a favorite Italian. Mine's
Okay. Can I get first pick?
You do get first pick because you're the guest.
All right. Give me Nicolaj Hodge Nielsen.
All right,
Hodge. Oh, my favorite Italian. That's crazy.
I feel like that dude's been on an absolute tear since 2023 Worlds, and it just would not surprise me if he won one.
Adi, since I am hosting, it's you first.
Oh, it's me first. I was gonna pick the defending champion, Ruben Gianzini, who was on the Poppies with me, and is the CSR maestro himself. So if anyone can figure out how to use CSR this format, it's probably him.
I'm gonna grab the mentioned here the runner up and the world champion Luca. Why not? I feel like likely to attend. Been playing. I think came off a top 16 in the other one, Utrecht. So probably doing well. Tabu, that's a good shout. Tabu was doing well in VR. So, anyways, yeah, make sure to drop yours in the chat too to get them basically immortalized for next week when we look at the results. Anyone from Tub going? Well, I don't know.
Like last year, both Roxon and Torviv did cut the tournament. I have not heard a peep from them about going to this tournament, so I don't think they're going. But who knows?
Right. Hope Luca can steal his invite from this event. So true. So true. Okay. So yeah, and then Hong Kong this weekend. It looks like it says 144 players. I don't know if that's mixed divisions or not, and they are competing for top 12 for a Worlds invite. So the top 12 will be getting Worlds invites, but of course, it's not always cheap to travel to the U.S. So gunning for finals for that travel award would be nice. Would be much appreciated.
As far as getting to the U.S., Los Angeles is pretty accessible from Southeast Asia. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a decent contingent of Southeast Asian players.
It's such a shame that Worlds isn't in Los Angeles.
What do you mean? All the footage that I saw was of Los Angeles.
Hey, keep yourself safe.
All right, so the final thing I want to talk about, this was actually going to line up a little bit better if we ended up talking about the World's prospects for this season, but I still wanted to mention it right now while we have Gavin, just because it's kind of funny. We were talking about it the other day. But Gavin, you were the one who wrote this article back in 2015. This was the last time we had a World's World's qualification system that was top X. I believe it was top 40, as it says here. And so yeah, this was leading up to U.S. nationals. We weren't called internationals then. And you ended up breaking it down by different sections. And I was kind of curious, like the criteria, some of the stuff you did. If you remember, this was written like 10 years ago at this point. But yeah, talk to me about it.
Yeah, so the essential idea behind doing any simulation like this is you run a Monte Carlo simulation. What that means is that you prescribe certain odds of things happening, and then you run a million simulations and then see what ends up being likely. So the best way of doing that nowadays, right, is probably leveraging, you know how Ben Build has all those ELO rankings?
Yes.
Basically grabbing those for all of the Pokemon players with the amount of points they have, then saying like, okay, let's say they got the Monte Carlo sim where you basically simulate nationals, and then throw them against each other and say, okay, then this person wins this matchup this percentage of time, right? And it's saying like you're never going to be able to like have an actual like amount, or it is you're just going to have to like run sims and then see where the distribution lies. In this, I believe the cutoff in 2015 was around that median of 368. It was on the higher end of things, I remember.
Oh, okay. You projected 368, basically, or something. Dude, shout outs to Dingram. Dingram was too smart for this game.
Yeah, no, Devon, I believe now is like a math professor at U Chicago, which like I feel like if you were writing a movie and you wanted to describe a stereotypically smart character's job, you would pick that. But yeah, anyways, I had the idea for it, but I didn't know how to code back then because this was like just I was still in high school then, so Devon actually did all the coding, despite him being younger than me.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyways, I think what you learn from this is like.
Wait, it's so funny. Years later, this first sentence. Today, I'm going to break down what everyone in the United States, Canada, and occasionally South Africa needs to secure their Day 1 Worlds invite. No.
Oh I'm like, God. I'm actually so funny. You have no idea.
Dude, nothing's changed. 10 years later, nothing's changed.
But yeah, one thing that I've learned about like doing these sims before is that it always ends up being on the higher end of the range because like it is pretty safe to assume that for the people in the race that they're going to try super hard for nationals and get an elo boost, and you should assume that everyone who is in contention at the very least gets min points. Like
Okay.
you should assume that everyone who is in the hunt for the race is getting at least top 256, if not top 128, in order to get a baseline of it. And frankly, it's not going to be that much more. The bar's not going to be that much higher, I'd bet, than if you just like gave everyone a top 128 finish.
Yeah.
Right.
So a bit of a factor for this time around is the BFLs, right? That's like something that will make it a bit different for our current situation because for some reason, I don't know. I mean, it's a balanced decision, but yeah, internets are now lumped with regionals, despite them being different payouts. And so, if people have been to enough regionals and internationals, they've got 5 finishes, then they won't be able to go up anymore.
Did I say that right? Uncle Lou's worst finish is 125 points.
Looks like it.
He has a bunch
Dude,
of top 32s and top 16s. Yeah.
he's such a top 32 king. He's even ranked 32.
That's true. Billy has also been talking about how he like just needs to get like really like marginal. He has very marginal increase that he can get on his championship points. William Brown, he's like, 9th in championship points, never streamed. He's just stream banned. They hate him. And obviously Joe, 280 at worst. Crazy to see.
What's the minimum point for top 128? Or for top 128 at Pokemon event at Nationals now?
At NAIC, top 128 is 80, top 256 is 60, and I think we get top 512 CP, which I believe is 50 or 40.
Oh, then the bar's probably not going to move that much, huh?
Yeah, because most people, I think it's going to go up because there's a lot of people just outside the range that have a BFL open. So they can get a lot of points. They can potentially get 80, 100 points quite easily.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people on the lower end of this range are maxed out. And so they would have to, if they're probably going to replace a top 256, a 60-point regional finish, which most of us have at least one of. But then, if you turn that into a top 64 at internets, right? That's only, I think, a 45-point jump. I don't know off the top of my head what internet's payouts are, but like that's not the biggest jump overall, and that's still like pretty good. That's an X3 finish at an internet. That's not easy.
What is top 8 points at NAIC?
It's 380, right?
I honestly don't know the number.
Can you control F Gavin?
You have one. That's true. 380.
350.
Oh wait, 380 and 350.
Yeah, it's 380.
Because 350 was regional. Your 350 is from this weekend.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So yes, 380. So I guess because like obviously top 4 is an auto qualification now. So I'm kind of curious what's like the lowest amount of points you can have to top 8 no worlds, like I famously did in 2015, the year that we're looking at. I actually didn't mean to bring it back to me. That was just something I realized. I was just asking genuinely because it was like, what is the lowest number you need to be going into NAIC with like hope and a chance that you can make it to Worlds? And 380 is pretty big. It's a lot of points. So like you can get down to like some people in the 600s, I think. And so
is it Alberto's time? Is it Alberto's time to get top 8 and then
call him up? Call him up right now. No, Alberto probably has too many finishes. But so but he's right at the range anyway because he's 60 points above, so he'd be replacing a 60. So yeah, call him up. Tell him he's got to lock in. But yeah, I think just around that, like, I don't know. I mean, I think that's like the thing that we're going to be planning on looking at. And we're also going to be doing a draft as well, an NAIC draft, which will be fun. Especially, like, I think it's honestly going to be more fun this year considering the extra stakes. Instead of it just being like, a really big tournament that, people want to give their all to. Like, there's like Worlds invites on the line, and people really, really like these are going to be the interesting ones to draft. Who do you know that has been working their butt off to make sure that they can make Worlds, and they're not even in the top 75?
Oh, yeah, the top 75 is really strong right now. There's so like I think wouldn't be stoked about facing any of the people on this list at a regional early on. Like everyone is quite good. I think a lot of the players who were top 75 who weren't as strong have kind of been filtered out at this point in the season. With everyone kind of finishing their BFLs. And yeah, even the players who are just outside that range, right? We see Brady Smith and Jody Azzarelli, who are right outside the World's Invite range, who are both really incredible players. So it's gonna be a bloodbath at NAIC, and it's gonna be really fun to watch, especially since all of us are safely over 1,000 points and will not have to worry about it.
Speak for yourself.
I don't know. I think of all of us here, I have the biggest chance of missing my World's Invite.
I know. I think
that wasn't a joke. I think that's actually true.
I think so too.
Yeah, if you get banned again. But yeah, I was kind of curious actually while we're talking about that case because it's kind of funny. This is stupid. I don't think I'm mathematically locked yet. Like it's very possible for me to get past, right? Not very. Sorry, very is a bad word, but is it physically possible for me to not get a Worlds invite? Could the Worlds invite be higher than 1032 at this point?
I can double check what the max is if you don't mind me just like run that in the background real quick.
Yeah, for sure. It's just funny to think. I'm curious. Like, there's the range of people who are completely locked. There's the range of people. I'm talking about like not the auto qualifications. Like nobody's gonna pass Junshi here at 1558. Like there's no way 70 something people or whatever get above Junshi. So he's like effectively auto qualified, even though doesn't have a auto qualification. But there's a range. There is a cutoff point where there are people that can physically get past. Though, is it actually going to happen? No. And then there's the range where you actually have to be worried, which is like, of course, kind of just probably close to the bubble, anyways.
It's gonna be a little higher than what we're currently looking at right now. But Yotam, we were gonna have Yotam on. I think we're gonna have him on in a week or two to talk about his simulations. But before Portland, he shared with me some of his numbers, and the higher range of where the bar could end up was in the 960s. So if you're above 960 something, if you hit 970, you should be safe in theory. 980 is like almost certainly safe. And even when I was looking through the numbers, there's a lot of players in between 930 and 960 who are entirely maxed out, who don't have much room to move up, including Yotam himself, and are probably going to be sweating it out if they miss points at NAIC, or even if they get like a couple points at NAIC, right? If you're 930 and you get a 20-point bump at NAIC, that's not necessarily making you safe. That's kind of where I'm starting to think that's where the bar is going to be.
I had so much fun in 2015 reading these thresholds, just learning like what people needed to have happen. And now I imagine the people that were actually in these situations were not thrilled. Maybe the ones at the top were fine, but yeah, it's just like group that might have worlds already, but they're cutting it close. Like that is just like, I don't know. It's a really good description for just kind of expressing what the players might have been feeling themselves,
Thank you.
It is a lot of pressure going into NAIC with your World Invite on the line, knowing that like that's a really big deal. It's really hard. I was really freaking out about this event, about Portland Regionals, not because I didn't think I would do well, but because if I didn't do well, then my World's Invite would be on the line at NAIC, and I just didn't want that pressure on me going into the last tournament of the year.
Gavin, you were in the group people who might be really nervous Friday night. Were you, in fact, nervous Friday night?
I made day 2, so no.
Nice.
I made it upon getting that. Yeah. I think it was
I get you. I get you, because you basically just needed to... Yeah, okay. Day 2 is good enough. Top cut might be stressful. Time for top 32. Yeah. Dude, where's me? Which one am I in?
Wait, so
I think I'm
on
in
this
the
list,
rest.
to like put you on this list, right?
No, I wasn't. I didn't have enough points. That's what I'm saying. Which section am I? I think I might be in the rest. I actually don't know if I had any championship points or not.
Bro's F tier.
Dude, no, I'm M tier, bro. I can't even be in F tier. There's the F tier's all the way up there. I'm M tier.
I'm curious, in this year, who was the lowest ranked player to ended up getting a Worlds invite?
Huh.
Like on here?
Yeah.
Let me pull it up. I might remember.
Actually, wait. Can't I had the leaderboards page open? Can I just like? I can just.
Oh, you probably
can't I?
can, huh?
2015.
Yeah. What was the cutoff?
So it was top 40. There's your boy at 49. One went away, and then Jake made it in. Trailer didn't. 388. Wait, so but you wanted to know the player who made the most the best comeback story, basically, right?
Yeah. I
Chance
saw
Alexander, maybe.
Chance
Group
Alexander.
H, trying to think. Oh, also Bjorn Meow Johnson in Group H. That was how his name was displayed.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Oh,
like
Bjorn
on the
Meow Johnson. You usually put the username at the end in parentheses, but yeah. All right. I'm realizing that I'm having fun doing this, but this is really not the kind of content we do on Dumb Takes. This is kind of stuff we would do at a call, hanging out, just kind of like running the numbers. Like this is basically just the equivalent of like name a sports player kind of like discourse, where it's just like, oh, remember that person back in the day? Oh, they were a legend.
2003 Paul Quantrill. Let me tell you.
Yes, I don't even know this person, so even older than I know, and I know a lot of VGC. I know like the majority of VGC, but even then, there are like people who are more boomer than me, like Gavin, and Audie's even less boomer than me. So, you know,
It was a baseball reference, right?
Yeah.
See,
Okay.
I completely
Just
missed
checking.
it. I completely missed it. I thought it was a VGC player. I was like, I don't know this person. All right. So with that, we are pretty much at time here, and spent enough time bullshitting around that I think I'm just gonna wrap it up here. So, yeah, Gavin, thanks again for coming on and talking about your team, your Portland win. Congratulations, of course.
Thank you.
And so yeah, I mean, definitely looking forward to hearing more about the team if you do end up doing like any type of written or video team report and stuff. Looking forward to that. But otherwise, that's
Same.
gonna be what's up, Audie? Oh yeah,
I said.
Same, yes.
So speaking of raids, I see there's a VTuber that looks like a Reshiram that is currently streaming with Reshiram. You want to send it over to them?
Yeah, we're just gonna keep sending raids over to VTubers. Sounds good.
Oh, one more thing. If you missed part of this podcast, you can watch it on YouTube tomorrow morning. So don't miss the entire thing.
That's true. If you were not here for the beginning, it will be on YouTube. Or if you realize that if you're new here and you're like, oh, I'd actually rather watch this on YouTube, it's over there just a day later. So the calc is wrong. That's true. All right. Y'all have a good time over there with Fedora Reshiram. I might be streaming tomorrow, though I'll see how it lines up with my coaching. I might be, I don't know, swamped. Regardless, though, y'all have a good night and catch you around. Peace out, peeps.